So you still need to sell your home, but the country is in the midst of a quarantine. Is it still possible to sell? The answer is yes, but let's talk about the details. Hey everyone, it's Shelly from the Shelly Killinger Group at REMAX CSI. First and foremost, I hope that you are all healthy and well and safe at home. As the weeks go on, I've been getting more and more questions from our sellers that, we really need to sell our home, but is it even a possibility? We're finding ourselves where we have to relocate, or we have a loved one's home that we have to sell and we can't afford to keep it, much longer. Can we still put our house on the market? The answer is absolutely yes, we can, but it comes with a disclaimer. Selling a home in the midst of a pandemic is not for everyone, and it does come with its challenges. But if you find yourself in the position where you have to sell and you cannot wait, we can certainly help you. We can get your home sold in the most safe manner possible. But you have to understand that it will come with its challenges, and there will be a little bit of a different home selling experience than it would have been if you had sold your house 6 months ago. So the first thing that we need to note is that as of now, in the state of Pennsylvania, we can, as real estate agents, cannot conduct any face-to-face, in-person business of any kind. So that means that almost your entire transaction is probably going to happen virtually. So that means that, all of the marketing is going to have to be virtual. All of the showings are going to have to be virtual. Now, don't worry. I know that you're probably thinking, well, how are we going to market our home in the most virtual way possible? We at the Shelly Killinger Group have been doing virtual showings. We have been doing video conferencing. We have been doing really heavy social media marketing for a long time. So don't worry, we have you covered. We are experts in the area of social media marketing, video marketing. So don't worry, we've got you covered there. The second thing to notice is that you will have to take all of your own photography and all of your own videography. Unfortunately, photographers and videographers are not going to be permitted to visit the property at all. And so we are going to have to rely on you, the seller, to take your photos and your video. Now, don't worry. This is a time where this is becoming the norm. Any new properties that are coming to market are going to have seller taken photos and video because, like I mentioned before, photographers, videographers, agents cannot come out to visit the property in any capacity. So all of the new listings that you're going to be competing with are also going to have pictures and video taken by the seller. Now, we can walk you through. I am happy to FaceTime with you. I'm happy to show you the best angles. I am happy to have our marketing director, Brittany, edit the photos afterwards to kind of, make them look a little lighter and brighter and kind of crop them if needed. We can work through that, but just know that you will have to take all of your photos and all of your video. The third thing that you need to note is that your closing period might be a bit longer. So lenders are changing their requirements every day. People are working from home. Borough buildings are closed. So that makes, accomplishing municipal requirements kind of time consuming and sometimes difficult. All of these things add up to a longer closing period. So I was talking to a good friend of mine who's in the mortgage industry the other day, and we have typically with her been able to close loans in 30 days roughly. Now she's saying they need roughly 50 days to close a loan. And so just know that your closing period will likely be a little bit longer if you're in the planning phases and trying to figure out what your next steps are afterwards. Just know that it might take a little bit longer to close. In addition, another factor to consider is that the buyers that are out there looking right now are willing to submit offers without being in your property, but they are going to probably write in a contingency that allows them to do a physical walkthrough after the COVID restrictions are lifted. So obviously that means they're not willing to close until after the COVID restrictions are lifted. So even if the bank is ready, they're not going to be able to close until they've done that final walkthrough. So this could even extend your closing period a little bit as well. So just know that we don't know when the restrictions will be lifted, so we're uncertain as to how long that will be, but just know that that might also extend your closing period. The last thing that we're seeing that's very important to sellers that is different than a typical closing, different than a typical home sale, is you may have to escrow funds for a dye test repair. So there are many boroughs that are shut down. Dye tests are not happening. A dye test, if you're not aware, it tests the runoff water from your home to make sure that it's not going into the sanitary sewer. And that is typically a seller responsibility. Typically, we would have that dye test done before you even list. We would take care of any repairs that are necessary, before there's even a buyer discovered or buyer found or an offer submitted on the property. But unfortunately, if you live in a borough where they are not doing dye tests currently, then that means that we're not sure. Is there an issue? Is there a repair that would need to be made? How much is that repair going to cost? We are not sure. So depending on the buyer that comes in, that buyer very well may write an offer that states you as the seller have to escrow a certain amount to make them feel comfortable with signing off on the property without a dye test. And boroughs are permitting properties to close without a dye test, but someone has to take responsibility for the potential repair. Unfortunately, we don't know what that repair is going to cost. So you might discover that you have a buyer that is going to require you to escrow some funds and keep them with the title company until a dye test can be performed after closing. Then the repair would be paid for out of those funds, and any remaining balance would be refunded back to you as a seller. So just know that that is something that could come up if your property sells before the COVID restrictions are lifted. So I know that these are tough times, guys. I do. And selling in the midst of a pandemic, like I said earlier, is not for everybody. But if you do find yourself in the position where you do have to sell your home, please know that we are here for you. We'll get your home listed. We will virtually take care of everything in terms of photography and videos. We can walk you through it, and we'll get you closed and get your home sold in the most safe and virtual manner that we possibly can. So if you're finding yourself in that position, don't worry. If you're finding yourself in the position where you still have to buy, we understand we can help you out with that as well. We can do virtual showings and we'll walk you through the whole process. So don't be concerned about that. People are still out buying and selling, but if it's not for you and you want to hold off, we completely understand that as well. So I hope this information has been helpful, guys. Of course, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out or post them in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our future videos that we post. We post every Tuesday, and we're posting even more frequently these days because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I hope you all are healthy and well, and we'll see you next time.